2, 1.
What's up, everyone?
I'm White.
And I'm Rice today.
Wait. Wow. We're a couple dudes who like movies, and we make these little videos because we like to talk about movies. We figured we'll share it with you, ungrateful bastards.
Yes, I'm Joey.
And I'm Dylan. And that's actually how it's supposed to start.
Back, everyone.
Welcome, Hack.
Yeah, today's rough. It's definitely a Monday for Joey.
It is a Tuesday. But
a little tuckered out. But hey, we're doing it. We're doing it big.
Joey's trying to hide from the world, as you can see. Anyway, we're here to talk about a gorgeous and wonderful film. It's a heartwarming tale about a boy and his trials and tribulations.
Couple boys,
but really just a boy. It's like 1.5 boys. Anyways, it's 1917.
It's a great film. You know, when it comes down to it, if you want the non-spoiler review right now, just go see it. It's a gorgeous film. It's not one of my favorite film or war films by any means.
It didn't feel like, I mean, it was more of a story about a character who was a part of a larger decision that was one small segment of a giant war.
Right.
You know?
And they showed some of the atrocities of war, and specifically that war really wasn't one of the ones that really, at least for me, hits hardest. You know, like Saving Private Ryan is one of them where you're just like, this is just fucked the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and also not to disqualify like the value of human life, but like the stakes weren't super high. It was
right.
It was like whether or not a like group of 1,600 soldiers would die.
They were, but they weren't.
I'm not really sure what the larger scale of it was in actual history, but it wasn't like a make or break in World War I.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, and it's not really based off of a factual battle.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, they say this pretty much in the trailer, but 1917 is 2 young soldiers who are randomly chosen to go on a relatively quick mission to deliver a message to stop an attack from happening on the German troops, because it turns out that the German troops were already a step ahead, knew that the attack was coming, and would pretty much wipe out the incoming attack from the Allied forces.
There is only one way this ends. Last man standing.
I'm going back to see my father.
We need to keep moving! Come on!
I'm going back.
You can't possibly make it that way, man! You bloody insane! Why in God's name did you have to choose me?
Stay, please.
No!
If you don't get there in time, we will lose 1,600 men. Your brother among them. Good luck.
Yeah, the story is really just these 2 dudes who are delivering the message.
2 brothers in a van.
You gotta get there in like less than a day or something.
Also, it was like 8 or 9 miles they had to travel.
Something like I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like super far. This story really just covers about a day's time.
Right.
One of the things that I kept thinking about in the movie is like he's barely that far away from where he starts. You know, they like go through the trench and they go through the mud, and then he gets to the river, and it's like, dude,
it's the things that he has to go through. You know,
for sure.
I mean, it's nuts. Yeah, it was a good movie. The main thing that makes this movie stand apart and why it's getting so much praise is the cinematography.
It's all about the cinematography.
And it was gorgeous. It was nuts. The thing that makes it so cool is they basically make it look like it's just one shot.
Super reminiscent of Birdman. So like you can tell it isn't one shot, but it gives you that feeling of just these long extended sequences.
There are places where things go in front of the camera and you're like, okay, they probably cut it there.
Yeah.
But 20 minutes in, I just leaned over to my buddy. I was like,
is
this still the same shot? Like, what the heck? It's nuts. It's so cool. It's gorgeous. It's a weird feeling watching it when it is shot like that, because like it just never stops, right? You're just kind of always like ready.
Yeah, it definitely builds tension in a way. This movie is the child of Roger Deakins and Sam Mendes. Roger Deakins has a ridiculous catalog that he's worked on, including Skyfall and Blade Runner. What were some of the True Grit,
Shawshank Redemption,
Old Country for No Men, Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
Old Men.
Old Country for No Men.
That's where we live, in Portland.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
That's cinematography, let me tell you.
Holy smokes. Yeah, so the cinematography is really everything in this movie. Like Joey was saying, it feels like it's one shot. And the lengths that they go to accomplish that are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they use drones to carry lights to make it look like there's flares in the sky. They had to get a certain type of lightweight camera so that they could attach them to drones. Cameras in the back of motorcycles. Favorite scene of the movie, which is like the main part of the trailer where the title sequence comes in. The main character, who's George McKay, is running against the guys who are jumping out of the trench.
Yeah.
So that sequence was a quarter-mile stretch. Mm-hmm. So he had to run the full quarter mile, and they only had enough explosives for 4 takes. So they were like, we can't fuck this up. Now, it was high stakes because, again, they have limited explosives, but the way they shot it was this gigantic crane that followed like this with a camera on it. And then 2 guys who were literally in costume run up, grab the camera off of this huge boom arm, run backwards with it, still following George McKay. And then they mount it on another crane that's attached to a moving truck. Then they run into camera as the character is still running at the camera the entire time. And in the final take, he actually slams into one of them and falls over.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that wasn't supposed to happen, but that was the best take they had.
That's awesome.
But it makes him feel more real.
Yeah.
So anyway, that whole sequence is ridiculous. But it's like they have 4 takes, and that's how far they had to go to make that shot look that real.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So again, beautifully shot. There's some crazy, random cameos in there.
I thought some of the casting for that was strange.
I mean, whatever. We may as well get some big hitters.
Yeah. And to me, like, it always feels disingenuous when you have a name like Benedict Cumberbatch or Colin Firth in your title. Benadryl, Cumber, and Slunch. They put them in the credits, and you're like, oh, cool. Like, you're expecting some sort of, like, at least somewhat of a role, but they don't play much of a role. This movie really is focused on one character and his
see him, though.
trials. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's Benadryl. Like, good to see him. Good to see you, old sport. And then
old chap.
And then they're out. Who else? You said Mark Strong.
Yeah.
And then the guy who, God, what's his name? Colin Firth. But there's another one. He's a British actor, and he was the guy who was like in the trenches with him. He gives him like the flare gun.
Oh, that guy.
He plays Moriarty in the Sherlock show.
Oh, okay.
British actor. I love that guy. He was funny though.
He was good.
He had a good little role in that.
Hey, here's a little tidbit of info for you. 2 Game of Thrones actors in it.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't recognize him at first.
Which ones?
Both of the brothers.
Dude,
that's Tommen.
2 brothers in a van.
Who drops out the frickin' window in Game of Thrones. Spoiler alert.
Wait a minute.
Jeffrey's, or what's his face? King Joffrey's brother.
Holy crap. Yeah.
That's him.
The younger dude.
And then his older brother is Robb Stark.
Was he really?
Richard,
wait, let me see.
That's Robb Stark.
Oh my gosh, you're totally right! Oh, that's so weird!
No! Big reveal.
That's so weird. I knew the guy at the end looked familiar. And that actor has such a, like, I feel like he has a very, like, military, like, presence and just, like, always very, like, stoic and serious. And I saw him at the end and I'm like, he looks familiar, but he also just looks like
I recognized Robb Stark. I didn't recognize, for whatever reason, Tommen. And then Tommen's also in The King.
Yes.
That was his jealous brother.
2 brothers in a van.
So that
Dean Charles Chapman.
So that kid's getting out there right now.
He is.
He can't be older than 24.
I don't know. He looks like he's 12.
He could be 12. Could be 12. But yeah, anyways, 1917 is a really, really solid movie. Kind of like Joey mentioned, it's not the most like satisfying war film, but in terms of cinematography, it's massive.
For me, it'd be like, running a half marathon to go get tea and crumpets.
I really can't say much more than that. One weird comparison that I've made about this movie, and it's kind of a vague one, but Kubo and the Two Strings was a stop motion film that came out a few years ago, and it was like some of the most groundbreaking stop motion ever, actually made here in Portland by Studio Leica. But the problem is it had no storyline. Like the story sucked.
It did.
It was terrible. So you saw this?
Yeah.
Okay, so like amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But then you're like, wait a minute, nothing is really happening.
Yeah.
So 1917 to me is a little bit like that in the sense that not a whole lot happens. You don't feel super attached to anyone or anything that's taking place, but you are still absolutely enthralled by everything that you're visually absorbing. So
Accurate.
yeah, definitely work the watch.
Work the watch.
Work the rich.
So that's about it. This Friday, actually, we're pretty stoked. We're going to be seeing Color Out of Space.
Color out of
Color
space.
of-
Color.
The Color of Space.
The color of space or the color out of space?
I always mess it up.
Color and space are both in the name. This is a new Nick Cage movie that's coming out based on an H.P. Lovecraft.
Out of Space.
Out of space. Yeah, so
Yes.
that's going to be some pretty wicked, weird shit.
Very excited. So when you see this, we'll be seeing it that night.
Yep.
It's an acid trip with Nick Cage, which sounds awesome.
And outer
Or
space.
terrifying. All of the
Imagine
above.
tripping on acid with Nicolas Cage in outer space.
Right.
Have you been watching any TV?
No, finish The Witcher. We told you about that. So
Did we talk? Oh yeah, we had
I
a
did
little
the
review.
review.
Yeah, watch The Witcher. It's worth checking out. What's really funny is like everybody feels the same way about The Witcher. Oh yeah, it's cool and interesting. It's got boobs, tits, and swords. But what's with the storyline?
But I feel like
Time
this person
doesn't-
was dead and now they're alive, but
Yeah.
they didn't tell me they went back in time. What's going on here?
Honestly, I cleared a lot up when Alex and I were able to talk about it. We cleared a lot up. for
Dude,
each other.
everybody I've talked to is like, what just happened
Yeah.
to the timeline? Like nobody, for some reason, usually you're like, oh, it's a flashback, but this one you're like, what's going on? Like,
it's like
trippy.
Inception, but stretched out over a much longer time.
zero explanation.
And then in terms of TV, I've been watching a ton of You. It's you should check it out. It's worth watching for sure. It's one of those things that like
More shows.
there's too many shows. There's so many shows, but this is like one of those like it's kind of like Dexter where you just have like this totally creepy fucking psycho dude, but at the same time because of the way it's written, like you're justifying everything he's doing and like totally batting for his team. And the second season's in LA and they just shit all over LA. So
Oh, it's nice.
watch You.
Another movie that we might see this weekend, The Gentleman.
Oh, we should.
Yeah,
We should.
Yeah.
I really want to see The Gentleman.
Yeah, stoked.
It's like all the dudes, all the boys together with Guy Ritchie. It's like if Guy Ritchie put together a soccer team and then they went and just beat everyone.
Sure. All right, I think that's it.
Find us on YouTube if you're not watching us on YouTube, which would probably be impossible. So just find us anywhere else, like Instagram, White and Rice Show. Give us a like if you'd like it. Give us a comment if you have something to say.
Yeah, let us know what you want to see, what you want us to do. We're your monkeys. We will do whatever.
We'll literally do anything.
Whatever. Puppets.
Cool. All right. And if you haven't figured it out, we drop episodes every Friday. So check them the fuck out.
Check 'em out.
Please. Okay. Deuce.
Later, guys.